this tutorial I'm going to be showing you how to do the braided slip stitch, which is an absolutely beautiful join, perfect for joining granny squares like this or other pieces that you want to join together, especially for blankets and things. It just creates this stunning effect. I've used it for my Circle of Hope granny square to join these. If you want to know how to make this, this is also on my channel. I'll leave a link in the description box below for you so that you can go and check that out. So I'm going to be using my 4mm crochet hook, which is what I used for my granny square. And then you will also need a pair of scissors for cutting off your yarn. You may also want to use some stitch markers. I don't particularly use them, but if you have larger projects or if you struggle with finding where the corners are to your projects, then I would suggest using some stitch markers. So as always, I'll leave links in the description box below where you can find some additional information, also the written instructions of how to do this, which will be on my blog bellacococrochet.com. As always, I ask, if you love my tutorials, then please don't forget to subscribe to my channel, like this video, and also share with your friends. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so what I have done already is done some of my rows. You'll notice that I've only done the rows and then we have these sections still which aren't connected. So I'm actually going to join all of the rows together and then worry about these after. So I'll show you this bit first and then show you how to do this section. It's pretty easy, to be honest. So now I have one last row to connect, and I have my loose granny squares here, which I'm just going to lay out. What you want to do first of all is create a slip knot with your yarn. So just using the yarn colour which you have chosen for your project, and you're going to put that onto your crochet hook like so. Now what I would say is when you're working this stitch, it's actually really handy to either do it at a worktop like this or on a chair. It's just not as easy to do this if you're just holding it in your hands and doing it on your knee. So I would definitely suggest you doing it on a flat surface. So what we're going to do first of all, we're going to take a look at our granny square, and we can see that we have the corners here. Now the corners here for me are a chain 2. If they're a chain 3, I would suggest that you start in or work into the 2 chains either side, so leave the middle one unworked for now and then do the one either side. But mine is just 2 chains, so it makes it pretty easy. We're going to be working into that chain closest to that side. So what we're going to do here is insert the hook from the front side of the work to the back, like so. And then I'm going to grab my yarn and pull it through and through. So just do a slip stitch, and that starts off the join. We're now going to take the loose square and we're going to find the exact same stitch on that other side. So I'm actually holding mine above my yarn like this, so the strand that we have that we're holding for our tension, I'm holding the square above. I'm finding that chain which is in the corner, and I'm inserting my hook from the right side to the wrong side of the work, and then I'm yarning over and pulling through all of those loops on the hook for a slip stitch. And we have just started our join. Now what we're going to do is find the top of the next stitch. So we have our treble crochet here. I'm going to insert my hook into that stitch, yarn over and pull through and through. Now you do have to be careful of your tension here. If you do it too tightly, it can distort the actual pattern itself. So try and keep a fairly loose tension. We're now going to find the corresponding stitch on the opposite side. So we go into the top of that stitch, yarn over and pull through and through. And we can see that we're starting to get this braided look now. We go into the opposite side from front to back, yarn over, pull through and through. Find the stitch on the opposite side, yarn over pull through and through. And we're just going to continue in this way all the way along the edge. So again, by having the yarn sitting behind the work, it makes it much easier for you. So pull through and pull through, working into the corresponding stitches, one side and then the other. So you're going to continue that all the way until you get to the other side or to the end of this row. So go ahead, pause the video, work just up until you get to the corner, and I'll show you how to go from this set of squares onto the next set of squares. Okay, so I've just worked my way across now, and I've just done my last slip stitch in the trebles. I'm now going to go into that first chain from the corner on this side, and then the first chain of the opposite corner on the other square. Now what we want to do is, because we've finished on the opposite square, we now want to work over into this square. So for this, we're just going to go simply into that chain, the second chain of the corner for that square, bring in our next square, and then find the chain. So sometimes here you can see how it's quite loose. I like to get into position, pull it through, and then bring the tension in after. So just pull slightly on my yarn to tighten it up, and then we have joined all of those. Now we can just go into that next treble and do the slip stitch, and into the treble on the opposite side and do the slip stitch, and just working your way all the way along until you get to the very end of these squares, and then you'll do your joins in exactly the same way. So the general rule is you work from one side to the other, one side to the other, and you'll be keeping in with the pattern of the braid. So go ahead, pause the video, work your row if that's what you're doing, and then I'll meet you back and show you how to finish off the row, which is pretty simple. You're just going to tie off, and then I'll show you how to do this other join to connect all of them together again. Okay, so I've just come to the end of that whole row. Now what I'm going to do is chain one and snip off my yarn, leaving a longish tail end for sewing in. And now I have done all of my squares together in that one direction. So I've done all of my rows. So all of my squares are connected one way, but now I need to connect them the other way as well. So this is going to be pretty simple, very well, exactly the same as before, but I'm just going to show you how we would go ahead and work over this. So I'm going to go ahead and create my slip knots again, just as I did before, and begin as I did before as well. So I'm going to go into that first chain, front to back, or right side to wrong side, pull through and pull through, and then also select the opposite chain in the other corner and pull through and through and through. So holding it behind the other square is going to be slightly more difficult here, so you do have to work a little bit slower. So we're just going to do exactly the same method as we did before, but you might just want to lift up each time here in order to make sure that you are going into the right square. So it's exactly the same as what we've done before. You just might have to take a little bit more care when working into that opposite side, and also making sure that your tension is correct. So go ahead, work up until you get to the join, and then meet me back once you're ready. Okay, so now I have done my last two trebles. I now have these corners. So I'm going to go into that first corner and make sure that I bring that through like so. and then I'm going to go into the next corner, and this time I'm going to come underneath the join just here and bring that through and through, so that now we can work over into the next corner of the opposite side of the next square, and then continue with that join. So slip stitch in one side, slip stitch into the corresponding stitch, so there we have that nice neat join. You can rewind the video if you need to watch that again, but you're going to go ahead and do that all the way along for each of the joins, and then also for each of the rows as well. I'm just going to pause the video and continue along just so that you can see what it looks like once this has all been finished. Okay, so now you can see this join which has gone this way. Okay, so now that you can see the join, you can see that it's just absolutely beautiful. It's definitely one which I'm going to be using in multiple projects. It just looks so gorgeous. It also looks really nice on the opposite side as well. It's just so neat and also really sturdy as well. I also like the fact that it's quite flat to the surface, so quite flat to the touch, because sometimes I think some of the normal slip stitch joins can distort the look of the work slightly, so I just think this is absolutely perfect. If you did like this video, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and share it with your friends so that they can give it a go as well. Also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel if you aren't subscribed already, and click that bell button so that you're notified of when my videos go live. Keep a lookout for the pattern release for the entire blanket that I have made here. I'll leave a link in the description box below for when it is ready. But thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you again next time. Bye!